Welcome, everybody. Episode 2 of Mirror Talk. This episode is going to be a very special episode. Near and dear to my heart with someone that I actually know personally, know her story, and again, just so much more. So just give us a minute. Let me get my girl in here, y'all. Come on in, come on in, come on in. My mirror watchers, let's go. Come on in. Come on in. Let's go, y'all. Let's go, let's go. Yep, let's go, let's go, let's go. Let's go. Come on in. I appreciate you guys, everybody that's been super supportive of this new venture. Words can't even explain how appreciative I am of you guys. Like, just making this platform available to people that want to share their story, that want to tell their story, where, just being able to express themselves and, like being able to help the next person, to help somebody. Because, everybody's story is different. Everybody's been through some shit in their lives. So, just being able to have that platform where they can express themselves and being able to, help the next one. Each one teach one, like I've told you guys before. I'm waiting for my girl Ashley to come on through. Come on, Ash, let's go. We got a lot of talking to do. Let's go. It's Mirror Talk today. There she go. Come through, Ash. Come
Hey,
through, beautiful.
Oh my gosh, I'm trying
Come
to get the
on
camera
through,
right.
beautiful. Let's go.
All right. Hi, y'all. Okay, here she goes.
Yes. Yes, let's do this. Come on, beautiful. Let's go.
All right, that's better.
Oh, you got your lighting good. Makeup is flawless, as always. You know that light beat. Of course.
Filter.
Of course. Beautiful as always.
Thank you, girl.
No problem. No problem. Now, before we even get started, I definitely just want to tell you that I'm so appreciative of you just taking a moment to come on my platform, because I know, just to give you guys a brief introduction, I have known this beautiful lady since I was, 16 years old, 15, 16 years old. And I know her story. She knows mine. So we have a lot of commonalities, but also a lot of differences. And we've both been through so much in our life. And just to see the woman that she has become, like, to see, like, she's not the stereotypical woman. Like, she's defied all the odds and she's just blossomed into this beautiful woman. Like, I am just so appreciative of you just taking this moment to, give me a moment of your time, because I know you a busy lady. You are a busy lady, booked and busy. So
you too, and I'm thankful that you gave me this opportunity. Absolutely. Like you said, we've known each other over 20 years. Right. So, it's a full circle moment. You know what I mean? I'm excited to be here and, tell my story, answer any questions people may have, and just,
And I definitely want to put that disclaimer out there to everyone. Like I said, everyone has their story, and I don't want this to be a platform where anybody feels like they're being judged or feel some type of way about sharing their story, because again, everybody's gone through something in their lives where they've had some obstacles that they've had to overcome, and those stories that they have, or those obstacles that they've had to overcome, is definitely a learning lesson that can be so beneficial to the next person. So I just want to put that disclaimer out there. I don't want anyone to feel like, like, no shade at all. This is completely transparent. We're being raw, unfiltered, uncut, and this is some real shit. Like, some real shit that you've gone through in your life. So I took the opportunity last week to go through my story, and it's like, I just want you to enlighten us and put a little razzle dazzle and give us a little, a little insight on Ashlei, because I definitely feel like the people really need to get to know Ashlei. And and when I just want to say that I am so proud of you when it comes to no, listen, like real talk. Like I am so proud of you. So for some of you that don't know, Ashlei has a brand, a Beautiful Rage. And when I tell you, it's a lot of story behind her brand, but she's put in so much work, and I feel like she's not getting the recognition that she deserves, because there's a story behind this brand. It's not just something like, oh, I woke up one day and I want to make some money. Like, no, like there's a story behind her brand. So it's like, I really want to give her this opportunity to share her story in regards to where this brand came from, because the story behind this brand, when I tell you guys, I'm not going to say it's a sad story, because she's made it into a beautiful story. Right? She's made this into a beautiful story. And I just want to give her this opportunity to let me hold your mirror, sis. Let me hold your mirror so that you can take a look in that mirror and, really tell your story, because your story, I feel like it needs to be heard, because not so many people can understand, or really want to know, because it's so much to it. So
like social media, where most people know me from, because I haven't lived in Connecticut in over 15 years, especially East Hartford. I would just like to start with that. I get a lot of inboxes asking where am I from. I'm from East Hartford, Connecticut. I was born in Hartford. I was raised in Springfield. And then when my parents died, I was shipped to the West Coast. So I am a Connecticut native.
Right, East Hartford. CT all day. You might be ATL now, but it's CT all day. Okay? Okay. That's where your heart is.
Right,
CT.
for real. From, like, you knew. But I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, and the reason why I relocated to Georgia is because, like you said, I have my own brand, Beautiful Rage, which is condoms. I've had my own condom line, yes, condoms.
Right.
For 8
something
years.
Like that, you don't hear something like that where you have an independent Black female that's promoting a condom line. So like I said before, like I'm so proud of you when it comes to that, and I'm all for it. Let's go. Let's do it.
What really? So should we get into it, or
tell the people what? This is what I want to ask you. So what prompted, or what is the story behind Beautiful Rage? Because I know part of the story. I know some of the story, but I feel like enlighten our guests. Like what was the foundation of Beautiful Rage?
Okay. So when I came up with Beautiful Rage, I was in my 20s. I was lost. I was angry. I didn't really even know I had a story. Like I had beat the odds. I was so upset. And when I started public speaking at 22, realized that I had a different story. Like you said, a sad story, a unique story.
Yes, don't say sad. Take that word out of your vocabulary. No,
but remember,
sad. It's unique.
Oh, look at the title of what this shit is. Life is fucked up, and shit is sad. Like my parents should be here. I do think it's parts of the story that are sad, because like to me it's sad that I don't know where my little sister is, and I don't want to say too much to the people. And that has to be, I feel like, really spoke about, because people see people on social media overcoming, but they don't see the real life, the sadness, the depression, the emotional sadness, the seasonal depression. They don't see that side, because unfortunately we live in a time where everybody's perfect, right? Everybody has the perfect relationship, the perfect job, the perfect kid. So people don't really show that side. So like I said, there are parts in the story that are sad, but my parents unfortunately died from full-blown AIDS, and I was angry about that. Like I was angry, I was hurt. I can't stigma, I still do. And so I wanted to channel that energy. And I always thought, wow, I couldn't save my mom. I was so young. I wish I always would, as I got older, be like, I wish I could have did this, or I wish. And so, me creating my own condom line was a way for me, number one, you know, to get my mom's memory and her legacy out there. Number two, to show young women and women we all are beautiful, okay?
Absolutely.
But we all have dealt with a lot of pain.
Right.
And so Beautiful Rage was for my mom, was for me, was for you, my daughters, my cousins, my aunties. It was for most women because most women have endured a lot of pain.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I feel like when people judge you off of this, it's like, girl, you ain't been through nothing.
Right.
And it's like,
don't know the story.
I could really tell you some shit. You feel me? Like I could really. So Beautiful Rage. I got a condom in front of me, guys. My condom line.
Yes, girl. Yeah, we pushing Walmart, Target. Let's get it.
we Walgreens near you. You feel me? But no, for real. When I came up with the condom, as you see the red lip, that's very important to my movement. My mom only wore red lipstick, blue mascara, so hence always the blue mascara. I wanted to change social norms for women. So I wanted to empower women who we are having sex. Like, you know, I wanted women to feel valued and, you know, encouraged to live your best life, whatever that looks like, but do it safely. You know, self-love is the best love. And I felt that's part of self-love, protecting you. You know, my parents were married, and like I tell people, a lot of people don't, you know, in this day and age wear them, but I mean, it's Russian roulette every time. So if you feel your partner worth the risk, then live your best life. But I'm going to share my testimonies. I'm going to share these tragedies because they are not mine.
Exactly. You know, and I love the way that you say that. Like, these are not your tragedies. They're not. They're absolutely not. Now, and I know that you mentioned that in regards to your parents. Now, do you mind sharing just a little bit of backstory in regards to that aspect of your life?
Sure. So I'm gonna say maybe when I was like 2 or 3, I moved to Springfield, Massachusetts. So that's where my dad is from. With my mom and my 2 other sisters. So I have 3 sisters. A lot of people don't know that. They only know about my older sister Winnie, but I have a little sister.
Remember Winnie?
Yes. Winnie, shout out. Shout out Winnie.
Yeah. Shout out Winnie.
Right. So, you know, we have another little sister named Lindsay. So moved to Springfield. It was all 3 of us, you know, with my mom and dad. Unfortunately, my dad died when I was 3 of AIDS. And my mom, prior to that, you know, her and my dad had a heroin addiction. So they were addicts. I mean, full-blown crack heroin addicts, like anything that you could imagine. It was really like that, you know what I mean? So unfortunately, when my dad died, I feel like my mom really got lost in her addiction. And unfortunately, like, basically what happened was me and my older sister was outside playing. Lindsay was born with drugs in her system as well as me. So what we refer to as crack babies, that's a real thing, right? So she was born very sickly, and me and my older sister went outside to play, and unfortunately my mom was in the house getting high and she passed out. So the neighbors, you know, they didn't want to call the cops, but it's like, you know, they called the cops, and DCF or DFACS or Department of Children's Services, whatever it's called in your city, they took all of us. And so my oldest sister was sent to her dad in South Carolina. Lindsay was actually hospitalized because she was really, really sick and adopted by the nurse at the hospital.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Girl, I told you, said razzle dazzle, baby, for that.
Yes. Sprinkle them gems.
Come on. And, you know, my grandma told me that my mom called her crying and was just like, I can't live life without my kids. And, you know, back in that time, DFACS didn't have a lot of, you know, rules and procedures. So, you know, grandma reached out to the social worker and was like, hey, you know, let's get Ashley at least back there. And, you know, let's work on rehabilitating Karen. I think, you know, that was an amazing plan. Unfortunately, that's not how things went. And so, you know, I've always felt that clearly God sent me back. You know, I'm so happy that my sisters did not have to endure what I did, even though, you know, Winnie has been through a lot. And I'm sure when I find Lindsay, she gonna have a story to tell too, you know. So not to take none of their pain away, but
absolutely,
you know, living with a drug addict, not having consistent housing, consistent clothes. I didn't go to school until my parents died. So that was 9. Wow. From birth to 9, I was not in school. So people always be like, you know, why didn't DCF take you when you was in school? I wasn't in school, you know, so there was no one to keep track of, you know, that. My grandma lived in Hartford, Connecticut, or Meriden, Connecticut at the time. And, you know, my mom didn't have a phone. She didn't have a steady address. Like, my grandmother didn't know it was as bad as it really was. Yeah. So, you know, I went through what you would imagine you would go through living with a full-fledged heroin addict. I mean, I lived in crack houses. I lived in shelters. I ate at soup kitchens. I lived with strangers. And, you know, hell on earth is a real thing. I want people to know that. Like, mentally, there are certain things some of us have experienced, we've been through. It's not normal. Yeah. It's not. Thankfully, we serve such a mighty God that we are able to every day and fight. Amen. But like, this shit is real life. Like, you don't gotta go overseas for war, because a lot of us are battling war over here. I mean, straight up, we still in the fight. You know,
that's a fact.
It was a lot. You know, really, really was a lot. And eventually, when my mom got sick, she called my grandma, and I remember my grandma pulling up. This was my rich grandma with her rich husband. He had a Mercedes Benz.
I remember your grandmother. Yes, pull up, like, grandma to the rescue. I remember. Yes.
You know? And my grandma always say that, like, you didn't even tell your mom bye. And I'm like, girl, I would go days without eating. You know what I mean? I would go days without having the heat on. Like, for me, I'm like, motherfucker, I'm ready to go. I don't give a fuck. Like, love you, mom, a lot, but I feel like I've always been real, like a realist. That's what saved me. I feel like I never was like, well, you know, one day rainbows and
what you call a star? Yeah,
it is fucked up. You feel me? Like, either you're gonna survive or you not. And I think, I know. I think when men hear my story, they're kind of taken aback, because, like I tell a lot of them, you don't gotta go to jail, like, you don't gotta go to jail to have a hard story, nigga. I'm out the trenches, the streets, like crack houses, pissy this. You get what I'm saying? I'm a little girl around addicts, and normally they alcoholics too. I mean, it's normally a double beast, right? Like, if you an addict, you an alcoholic. Like, you can't get no heroin, you gonna get some liquor. Like,
find something.
You gonna find something. And I was right there. So, like I said, beautiful Ray just stamped throughout my story. Right. Because, like I said, the world only wanted to see a beautiful woman, never acknowledging the pain. I can't help what people see when they look at me, but I know I'm a real life.
I love that aspect, and the fact that you didn't let your situation or your circumstances define you. And I've told you this several times, because we had plenty of conversations like this today, yesterday, last year, 10 years ago. Like, we've had plenty of conversations, and when I tell you, like, your story is something completely different, and I am so proud of you. Stop. And no, you better not start crying. Let's man up. Put some hair on your chest. You better man up. No.
Y'all know, baby,
I really am, because the fact that you didn't let your situation and your circumstances define you. Like, you didn't let that, you didn't become the stereotypical whatever because of what your circumstances or what your situation was. Like, you evolved, like, you've overcome so much. You know, like, and you're still going. That's the part that I want you to acknowledge. Like, you're still going.
But it was hard. And this is why, like I said, the youth are my babies. And I keep it the realest with them, because it's like, the woman before you, baby, a lot of knockdowns. Like, I went through a lot in my 20s because I was so mad, right? Like, when we talk about our culture and the things we've been through, mentally, a psychiatrist would have been like, girl, you got da 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 da. Like,
they quick to diagnose you.
You got PTSD, you got, but in our culture, we're raised motherfucking toughen up. Everybody got a story. You know, we talk about
deal with it.
Bitch, you not special, but a lot of us are. A lot of these stories are fucked up and unheard of. In culture, mental health still taboo. kids being molested, men being molested. It's
and that's
still
something
taboo.
that's not spoken of a lot. Like you rarely hear about that. Like it's so many different stories that we
women
don't
be
hear about because people are afraid to speak.
And they be wondering why these boys be fuck boys or this because he was molested, right? Because he went through some shit. It's like in our culture, it's just it keeps going around and going around. And what's gonna stop it is people like me and you, like-minded people that in order to go through it, you gotta go through it, right? Like you gotta acknowledge the pain and the hurt. Then let's start healing. But if we just like, I'm okay, nothing happened, I'm okay, nothing happened. You're gonna be fucked.
And that's
up
the
mentally.
biggest problem that I feel like it is with today's society or with our generation and even in the Black culture. Like it's so quick. I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay. Like everybody's so quick to say I'm okay and not acknowledging their pain, the shit that they've been through. Like the shit that you went through is some real shit and it's okay. Not to saying the situations that you went through is okay, but it's okay to acknowledge that and acknowledge that, you know, I need to get some help. Yes. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with saying I need help. And that's what people fail to realize. And I feel like that's where us as a Black community, like I feel like that's where we fall short because we're not so open and willing. And I have a few psychiatrist friends and therapist friends on here. I want y'all to chime in because I really want to hear y'all input. Like I feel like within the Black community, like this is something that's not openly spoken about and it needs to be spoken about because it's so many different realms to this shit.
And I can say for me specifically, like my grandma raised me, as many of you guys know. So it took for me to go, you know what I mean, through some shit, and the therapist sit her down like, no, what your granddaughter been through is fucked up. Like, it's not like she beat a lot of odds, but mentally, I'm not above the next man or woman, right? Like these trials and tribulations, we all gotta go through. None of us is exempt from the casualties of life. So we all on some way going through some shit. But for me, I feel like what sets me apart from everyone that may have been through what I've been through is I always knew I wanted to survive. I know what
I love that.
But I just knew, like, bitch, keep going. And when I felt I couldn't keep going, because again, I'm not a superhuman motherfucker. I ain't Spider-Man. You know what I mean? I ain't Wakanda. I ain't got no trick. When I couldn't keep going, I feel like that's when God stepped in and I ended up in Connecticut. Like half of the people that went to our high school don't even know. Like I didn't go to elementary school with y'all, middle school with y'all. I was living in Kansas City, Missouri.
You came from Kansas, bitch. I remember. Yes.
Feel me? So I feel like a lot of people never even wonder, like, where did you come from? What's your story? Like, I just kind of blended in, but you know what I mean? So
not even that, not even just to blend it in, because like I said in the beginning, like I've had the opportunity to have those conversations with you, like to really get a little bit of your backstory. Like I don't think I'll ever know the full story, and that's fine, but I do know, you know, the substance of your backstory, and you've been through some shit. Like you really have, like you've really been through some shit. Like I keep saying, and I'm gonna continue saying, like I am so proud of you. But what I do want to know, you mentioned a couple minutes ago that during your 20s, like you were just so angry and so, you know, just what did you do to get past? Because what you went through was a lot. To go from dealing with your parents, their situation, all the situations that you had to deal with after their passing. What did you do to get past that? What did you do to evolve past that situation?
This is a true story, which is why sometimes I be wanting to name drop, but I know people, you know,
they got a name drop.
I will say I was in my 20s, maybe like 23, 22. I mean, what a lot of people don't know is I didn't graduate with y'all. I didn't walk with y'all. I couldn't graduate from East Harper High. Like I got in trouble. I was fighting all the time. I just on the bullshit, just angry, getting this shit while I'm pregnant, like wilding, you know? And on one night I watched this movie. It just, what the fuck is this? I can't even think of it. It's with Queen Latifah in it. I'm gonna put it in the comments. Life Support. I watched this movie called Life Support. Now this, y'all gotta watched this movie. This is my fucking life, right? So the parents had AIDS. They were alive, but their daughter was being raised by their grandma. You know what I mean? And just the struggles of what it did for me was show me what my mom been through. Queen Latifah is the leading role. Yeah. She was a drug addict, but she got clean and she became an AIDS activist. But her daughter hated her, and she would just try to build a relationship with her daughter. Man, that had me crying so bad. At like 3 o'clock in the morning, I called one of my friends crying. I was crying so bad, she called my grandma and woke her up. Because for the first time in my life, Patrice, this is a true story. For the first time in my life, I realized my mom was battling something that made her turn to heroin. My mom had her own fucking struggles.
Her own demons that she was battling.
There's no blueprint to being a parent. For the first time in my life, I saw what my mom was going through. Right. And in my heart of hearts, I'm gonna always feel my mom did not want to die. But of course, in the 90s, when you got AIDS or HIV, baby, you was dying. Right. I don't care how good of a person you were. Yeah. My mom had been clean prior to her being hospitalized. She stopped doing drugs. You know what I mean? We got an apartment. Like Karen had got on her. But unfortunately, again, this is me keeping it real. Like you doing heroin and crack and living in the streets, you gonna die by that shit. Like, I don't care how pretty you are, how love, like, that's why I say life is fucked up, but it is what it is. Like, she don't get past reality. Yeah. Like, we all gonna die. You feel me? So for me, I just feel like keeping it real, like I told you the other day, is what made me survive. If I would have been like, well, no, one day, you know, I came to Connecticut, and what Connecticut showed me, I have been abused on a lot of different levels, right? Physical abuse, sexual abuse, mental abuse. What Connecticut did for me was show me how much bitches hate themselves. And excuse my language, but I wasn't prepared.
Speak your truth.
You being a pretty girl, you having hair is gonna bring issues. I never knew that. Yeah. Like, my friends in Kansas didn't treat me. They loved me. They was my day one family. Right. My friends in California loved me. We was locked in. Connecticut showed me like I don't want to say negative, because the East Coast is the East Coast, right? But it was hard.
It gave you a different perspective.
Was a different level of like mental pain and depression, and you know what I mean? I wasn't raised to dislike someone because of how they look or what they have. My grandma always taught me it's a flyer bitch. It's a bitch that got longer hair. Like, it's a bitch that got a bigger butt. Like, be graceful. I ain't even gonna say humble. Be graceful. Absolutely. And that's how I've always been. You know, I'm still like that in real life. Like, I'm hurt.
That's one thing I love about you.
You know, I know I'm hurt. Okay. But you feel me?
Yes, sis.
Connecticut, I feel like it hardened me. I feel like if I would have got more love from my friend, you know, I was the new kid on campus. I get it, because I came at the end of freshman year.
But you know what's so crazy? Like, I gravitated to you like so crazy. Like, we was on the phone. Like, I'm sneaking to using my, like, Ma, I got to use the phone. Like, I'm sneaking to call Ashley. Like, it's crazy. Like we gravitated towards each other. Like, and I feel like it's because, I'm not going to say we have similar stories, but we have a story.
But the trauma bonds, right?
Yes, like that. Trauma bonding is real. Like, that's some real shit. Trauma bonding is definitely so real on so many levels.
Right. And struggle's gonna always connect us. You feel me? Like, people always say, like, you know, people raised on survival versus people raised on love. I'm like, well, that's a lie. Because I'm the poster kid to be a survivalist, but I'm one of the most loving people I know. Yes. Love my love language. I love loving on people. Just hence beautiful rage. I teach women how to do their makeup. I literally speak life into women. I literally women feel good for a living while trying to heal and battle my own shit, right? Because like I tell people, I don't got the blueprint, nigga. I ain't fixed. I still go through shit. I was crying the other day. I'm a cry baby. I'm gonna cry. I don't care. Why is this happening to me? But, you know, keeping it real, that's why I'm always transparent. Like, I might not get on Facebook or Instagram like I just broke down crying, but I share most than the average do about my life, because that's what my business is based off of. Being genuine, being authentic, being transparent. Like, my parents died from AIDS. I don't tell people if I'm positive or negative, because I feel like, why does it matter? I carry the stigma of the community. I carry the stigma of my parents. I carry the stigma for the community. You know what I mean? So for me, I know my purpose here. I'm not here to prove shit to nobody that bleed like me, that breathe like me. I serve a power. So I didn't grow up and be like, oh, I want to sell condoms. However, me and my daddy, I'm talking about Jehovah God.
I know that's right.
Here. When my parents left me, when my family couldn't find me, when I was being abused and, you know, kept running away, and I kept being sent back and I kept running away, I was with him the whole time. So that's what I tell people. It's a blessing that I know my purpose. I mean, I do get tired sometimes, like, I got to tell my story again, but again.
No, and I respect it. Know? But one thing I do want to know, like, how was that whole, because again, I like I said, I know parts of your story because you and I have spoken for years. Like, I know parts of your story, but from that situation of your parents passing, how did that whole transition of, you know, you going from home to home, you going from, you know, where trying to find, you're going from foster home to where your grandma actually came and got you. Like, how was that experience for you?
I feel like was kind of taking us. I don't recall going places, or my mind. You there?
No, I'm here.
Okay. I feel like, luckily for me, like, the DCF experiences, I recall a little bit, but I don't. A lot of things I have blocked out. What stands out about the things that I went through prior to my parents dying is, like, when I became an adult, right? Or when I would be like, oh, everybody didn't go through this. Like, you wasn't beat.
Wait, that's crazy. Hold on. So I'm gonna pause you right there. So did you think like that was like the norm? Like your situation, in your head, did you think like that was normal? Like, everybody dealing with this shit. Like, that was that your thought process?
Like I knew that older men looking at a little girl who was 6 or 7, like, I always knew that was not okay. Like, I always felt dirty, right? Like, I didn't know if it was I was doing something wrong, or, you know, this is what happens to all little girls. I think for most of my life, I thought the things that I have been through, like, we all been through that. Like, I thought everybody's mom and dad was a crackhead. Like, I thought everybody lived on the streets. Like, I thought everybody would go 3 and 4 days. Yo, like I tell people, do you know that not eating for days is a physical pain? Like, it literally feels like you're being stabbed in your fucking ribs and stomach. Like, you feel like your stomach is on fire. Like, I remember passing out from not eating for a couple days and being woken up by a belt, because this family that I was living with, I guess I passed out and threw up, and this family was extremely abusive. I'll never forget her. Fat black bitch. No disrespect, but just dark skin, very big, just angry. She had a lot of kids. So I know my mom dropping me off and getting high. And, you know, I now that I'm older, I try to give some of them grace. You know, only God could judge them. I've been forgiving everybody. I hope that God extends that same mercy. I don't know, because I was a child. So, you know, we curious. But I mean, I just feel like some of the things that I encountered, I thought was normal until I started going to school, when I would read A Child Called It, when I would watch Losing Isaiah, when I would watch New Jack City. And I'm like, oh, that's how it was for me. When I watched New Jack City, it was movies that made me be like, oh, okay. So, or Tupac. Y'all know I love Pac. Like, Pac told me.
I know. You a diehard Pac fan.
Right. You know, but this is real life. Like, Pac told me, even though your mama was a crack fiend, she your black queen. Like, it was movies and music that made me be like, okay, well, somebody know this shit is happening. I still to this day feel like no one's told our story, right? Like, New Jack City was the drug dealers. you know, or what's the show Fallen, or what's the show in with Franklin?
I know what you're talking
No,
about. Oh my gosh. Yes,
Snowfall.
Snowfall. Yes, yes, yes.
I feel like in life we've always heard from like the drug dealers, right, or the crackheads,
Right, but you don't
because
hear from the kids.
right, but Donald Goines, he wrote a book called Crack Fiend. It's one of my favorite books. He was so detailed about the things that I experienced. But even at this time in my life, who's told our story? Who's told the story of the kids that, yeah, we were born with crack in our system, and I didn't fall victim to nothing. I'm not a drug addict. I ain't never been incarcerated. I've never been a prostitute. I've never been tricked on nothing. Baby, she self-made, got it out the mud.
I tell
So
you,
for me,
we were literally just talking about, like, I commend you because you aren't a statistic to your story. You aren't a statistic to any obstacle that was thrown at you. Like, you overcame and did beyond everything that was thrown at you. So, and again, I'm going to continue to say this. I'm going to continue to give you your flowers while you're here. Like, I am so proud of you.
I mean,
and that's real facts right there. I am so proud of you. So proud of you. Because you didn't become a statistic. You didn't succumb to whatever experiences you went through, whatever you had to deal with. Like, you exceeded everybody's expectations. And I love that for you.
But you know, I play devil's advocate too. Like I always say, nurture versus nature. Even if I was to be a drug addict, I mean, shit, that's what I was supposed to be, right? Like, I'm not saying there are people out here that they haven't beat the odds, and that's okay because they still trying. They're not giving up. Like, again, everybody don't know God the way that I know God. So like I told you, when I give speeches and these kids are like, Ashley, how did you do it, Miss Ashley? It's not the Matrix. You can't take the red pill. Like, literally, I've literally told God, all right, Daddy, keep playing with me. How I'm talking to you? I'll be like, Daddy, because I'm not about to keep.
Amen. Amen.
Always been here, and when people tell me they don't believe in God, I have to tell them my story, which is why I share my testimony. If there was no God, I would not be alive, baby. I told the cops, if you leave me here tonight, y'all coming back with a black body bag. I was 15 when I said that to the cops, and guess what happened? They believed me because my dad knew, baby, this 15-year-old body, she's tired. I was on the flight to Connecticut the next day. So God is real. He is able. I know people don't have faith, but faith of a mustard seed. Do you see how little that shit is? Like,
yes. Yeah.
And so I'm going to keep sharing my testimony. I'm going to keep walking with my dad, and I'm going to keep telling, without him, like I tell you, some shit we go through as humans, we cannot survive. We were not built that way. You got to rely on him. You get what I'm saying? The holidays is next week. Everybody most people gonna be with their family, right? That's never been my life. I've never experienced that, you know? So even now, as women, having my own kids, creating my own traditions, I still get sad. You know, I'm human. I miss my mom. I wish I could just call her, hey girl, hey, let me tell you, bitches is mad. You know, I wish I could, and I look just like her, so I could only imagine.
Yes, you do.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, girl, fine, girl, you know you fine, honey. Like you said, we got to keep laughing and keep from crying because this shit is a real story, and I don't think anyone on earth knows everything, right? Because as I heal, I get more comfortable with sharing. But who I am, even in relationships, stems from what I've been through. You know what I mean? So, like I tell people, what you see versus what's in here, it don't add up because my heart is the dopest thing about me. You know what I mean?
I love that, friend.
For real.
Yes.
Yep.
I love that. And when I tell you, like, I appreciate you so much.
Same.
I know your story.
Right.
Because I'm so proud of the woman that you become. Like, when I tell you, I take my hat off to you. I take my hat off to you on so many different levels because you didn't become a statistic. You didn't become a statistic. You defied all the odds that was set against you. And I so love that for you. And the way that you're so motivated to want to do better, like, you don't want to become that statistic. So it's like, I'm so proud of you. I can't say that enough. Like, Queen, adjust your crown, okay? adjust that crown, adjust it, because that's exactly what you are. Because you've been through a lot, you've experienced a lot, and you didn't become that statistic.
Right.
And I know that we have so much more to speak on, because it's just so many levels to this.
Right.
So many levels, from childhood, teenage life, adult life, today, present, like just how all of that has come full circle. Like, like it is so much more that we can speak to. And just so you guys know, there will be a part 2 with my homegirl Ashley here, because again, like, it's gems that need to be dropped. And I feel like when it comes to the Black community, we don't speak up enough. We don't speak up enough when it comes to all the trauma that we've been through, because trauma is a real thing. Like, it really is. Like, nobody's story is ever the same, but trauma is real. It really is. And it's up to us to really make sure that trauma that we went through don't define us as the adults that we are. Don't define us as the parents that we are. It don't define us. And it's so many levels to this. So we're definitely going to have a part 2 to this, because I feel like we have so much more to talk about. Like, this conversation, it to be continued. Definitely.
Right. But let me say one more thing before we go. If you share this video with your kids, like your daughters, understand that when you guys are telling the youth everybody has a story, it's 2 types of stories. It's one, you got dealt some fucked up cards, and you ain't had no choice, you ain't have shit to do with it, you had to play that hand. And 2 is when you became an adult and you made fucked up decisions, and unfortunately certain consequences come from that. Stop telling kids everybody got a story, because a lot of you adults, when y'all was of age, y'all made that decision. Y'all got to take accountability. Absolutely. But when you were abused on any accord as a child, that's not even in the same lane.
Because that's not your story. Somebody else was writing your story.
Yeah, like when you tell a kid everybody got a story, that's not their story. That's whoever did whatever to them. That's their story.
Absolutely.
Our story is what we writing on. You feel me? So I just, that irks me. I hate when everybody got a story. No, the fuck y'all don't. Did nobody tell you to get older and go boost? Did nobody tell you to get older and go scammer? Did nobody
use your as adults, whatever fucked up decision you make as an adult,
everybody
have to take accountability for that, because you're an adult. You're a grown ass person, so you can't use the excuse as whatever past your childhood, whatever. You have to own it. You really do have to own it, and that's something that I'm learning even to this day. You got whatever shit you do as an adult, you have to own it, because you're an adult. You're a grown ass person, and you made those choices to make whatever decisions you decided to make. Like, so, and again, as a child, your story is written. That's somebody else's story that you're a part of. So when I tell you, I understand, we just have this conversation. Your childhood story, that's somebody else's story. That ain't your story.
Right.
And that's facts.
So, all right, guys.
All right.
So I guess we're going to see.
But I just want to thank you so much, Ashley. I love you, girly. Like, you my dog. Okay? You my dog, and I appreciate you. And I am, again, and I'm going to continue to say this, like, I'm going to forever be so proud of you, because I know your story. I know your story. I know, I don't even know all the nitty gritty. Like, I know a good majority of your story, and I'm so proud of you, because you didn't let your story define you. You know, you didn't let your story define you. You overcome all those obstacles, and I am.
Tell the people they gotta talk to me differently.
Yes, talk to her nice. Put some respect on her name, okay? Put some respect on my girl's name, all right?
Real, all right,
all right.
So till next time, I love you.
All right, to be